So double suited hands with there's like two decent flush draws, and button seems like going to have a pretty wide range here. We have somebody that we can squeeze, so I think I find a squeeze spot here.
Yep, I like the squeeze. The only thing is that this might be, because of the small blind stack, we might want literally like ace queen instead of ace jack, because when somebody is whatever 40 something bigs deep, the double suitedness is not as important. It's just the high card power that's more important against the smaller stacks. So for example, if I was in a tournament in this scenario and there was that 40 BB stack, I'd probably just be calling, because we don't actually generate that much game value squeezing out the middle player, because they have 40 bigs. There's really not a lot of post flop going on. If everyone's 100 bigs deep here, very, very good squeeze. But I think the 40 BB player makes this a little bit more challenging with this combination.
So it's like kind of borderline?
Yes, it is. Only because like it would be perfect at 100 bigs for everybody. But when you have that smaller player, we care more about high card power. That's just the more important thing for us. Call Aloha should be ripping here at like a pretty decent clip. Calling like that's kind of your nightmare scenario, not nightmare scenario, but like they're gonna get it so that when ship the ship flats and then the small blind rips, you're gonna over rip a lot of the time, and then the 40 big blind stack just got a free 10 big blinds in value, and now there's no way that you're handing it, like even if you have aces and they have whatever, right? But when they have 40 bigs in their stack, that's 20% efficiency. So they're not going to be 20% behind pretty much ever. They just get those free 10 BBs in the middle. So that's just something that I think a lot of players need to be paying attention to, especially if there's short stacks in your game, is to know that if you're the person calling on the button, if the small blind is aware, they should be ripping there at like a decent frequency.
Yeah, thinking back, I'm not exactly sure what to do here. I mean, we have the jack high suit. I mean, I don't know like how much like the 4-4x interaction. Do you have to think about that sort of thing with in a 3-bet pot?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So the pairs that are good for the 3-better are two aces, kings, queens, jacks borderline, 2s, 3s, 4s, 6s borderline, or 5x6 borderline. So the lower the suit, like the lowest pairs are the best for the 3-better, because the availability, because overpairs are more important because trips are less likely in every player's range. Whereas on the middle pairs, 6s and 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, all of those cards are about equally distributed between all ranges. Therefore, the 3-better doesn't have a range advantage in the trips region. They're always going to have a range advantage in the overpair region, right? They're going to have the most pocket aces and pocket kings, but they're not going to have more trips than your opponents. So this is actually one of those paired boards that we love as the 3-better. We would hate to see, theoretically, we'd hate to see like Jack, Jack, 6. Like if it was Jack, Jack, 6, I'd actually be checking here with your combination, because you need to be checking that board at a decent frequency. And then it's really good to have a hand like Ace Jack in your checking range in that spot. But on 4-4-3, we get to play a decent amount of c-betting because we just have aces. And there's not that many trips in either player's range. And also it's aces with a wheel card, right? Like ace, ace, 4, ace, ace, deuce, things like that interact with this board pretty well as a 3-better. And so on this rank, we actually get to play a c-bet. And we have a phenomenal hand to do it with because we have the flush draw and 2 straight draws.
Okay. Let's see what I did, because I don't remember.
What sizing should you use? Now that, like, if we do bet, what sizing should you use?
I guess I always default to like 1/3. At least when it's like heads up pots, I default to 1/3 on paired boards when I'm c-betting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
I think, yeah, that'd be fine here too. You can even go a quarter if you want. 1/3, 1/4, both are fine.
Okay. So now I feel like we always have the massive range advantage here. So
a little less because we didn't c-bet the flop. Because if we have aces, we're supposed to be c-betting. And so it's not as pronounced. Like in Munkerland, because you checked the flop, you actually don't have as much of a range advantage as you're supposed to. Whereas if you had bet the flop and then ripped the turn, you just are winning. You have aces and kings almost every single time. But because you made the mistake of not betting the flop when you're supposed to be betting the flop with aces and kings, now with that logic, with I check out of position, you're way more rated to hands like Queen Jack 10 9 that don't have an ace and a king blocker in them, versus a hand like pocket aces and pocket kings, because those combinations are just not supposed to be checking this board at a high frequency.
To me, it seems like a hand like aces has less equity denial reasons to c-bet. and therefore wouldn't
Yeah, but
need
they
to
also
see
can
bet
get
as often.
value from kings, queens, jacks, tens. You just get value. Kings,
Okay.
queens, jacks, tens. All those hands will call.
Okay.
Flush draws, straight draws, 5, 6, 7. Right? You have two aces. You just get value. You're not trying to deny equity. You're trying to make money against them.
So your C bet frequency is super high when it's trips on a low trips. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That's something we talk about a lot in the advanced course. We literally go through every rank of board pair and then what your C bet frequency is supposed to be. You checking back the flop saved you money. They're never folding queens there, but I think that I just from a theory perspective, we should be betting. Like our combination is so good to bet the flop with, because we also don't have kings and queens, a king and a queen in our hand, and the main hand we want our opponents to be folding or to get action from, quote unquote, is pocket kings, pocket queens for us to bet over multiple streets. And the fact that we have the 6 as a pseudo nut out and the deuce as a pseudo nut out, right? You can kind of count those unless they somehow show up with a random 4-3 combination. It's just a really good hand to take aggression with very quickly.